Private to his right. Foul. Repcar. Cards coming out. Number 2, Repcar, pushed away angrily by Davids. He's been booked. Finger pointing here. Referee right on the spot. And Davids won't leave it alone. In fact, the referee is pushing Repcar away.
Pierluigi Collina is widely regarded as the greatest football referee of all time, known for his commanding presence, intense focus, and unmatched control on the pitch. From the earliest days of his career, he stood out not just for his decisions, but for the authority he carried in every match he officiated. His journey took him to the very top of world football, including finals and high-pressure international games. Players and managers alike respected him for his fairness and confidence. Yet behind the success and admiration was a career shaped by unexpected challenges. These moments would later become key parts of his story. One of the most personal struggles Collina faced was the onset of severe alopecia at a very young age. He began losing his hair in his early 20s, long before becoming a global figure. The condition permanently altered his appearance and made him instantly recognizable on the field. Early in his career, this drew criticism and unwanted attention. Rather than allowing it to weaken him, Collina embraced his look. Over time, it became a defining feature of his intimidating and authoritative presence beyond his appearance. Collina's refereeing ability is what truly set him apart. He was respected for his consistency, discipline, and deep understanding of football. Even in the most heated matches, he remained calm and in control. His communication with players was firm but clear, earning their trust. From domestic leagues to European competitions, Collina set a standard few could match. His performances quickly established him as the best referee of his generation. Despite his excellence, Collina's domestic career in Italy came to an abrupt end in 2005. He was forced to step away from Serie A due to a conflict of interest involving sponsorship regulations. This decision had nothing to do with his on-field performance or integrity. Many fans and experts believed Italian football lost its finest official far too soon. The situation was controversial and disappointing for someone at the peak of his abilities. It marked a premature conclusion to his top-flight Italian refereeing career. Even after leaving Serie A, Collina's influence on football continued to grow. He remained deeply involved with UEFA and FIFA, contributing at the highest levels of the sport. His experience made him a key figure in referee education and development. Collina helped shape modern officiating standards around the world. Instead of being remembered for how his domestic career ended, he expanded his legacy beyond the pitch. His authority extended into leadership and mentorship roles. Pierluigi Collina's career is a powerful example of resilience and professionalism. From personal struggles with alopecia to a forced early retirement at home, his journey was far from easy. Yet he turned adversity into respect and lasting influence. Today, Collina is remembered not just as a referee, but as a symbol of integrity. In football, his legacy proves that greatness is defined by character as much as success. Few officials in sports history have left such a lasting mark. Pierluigi Collina's career often felt less like a smooth journey and more like a constant one-on-one battle, where integrity stood on one side and powerful external forces stood on the other. Much like a tense football duel between two elite players, every phase of his career carried pressure, scrutiny, and consequences. While fans saw confidence and control on the pitch, behind the scenes, Collina was navigating challenges that tested his principles and resilience. His story is not just about refereeing matches, but about standing firm when the game around you is trying to pull you apart. This underlying tension defined his legacy as much as his whistle ever did. The most dramatic confrontation came in August 2005, when Collina's legendary Serie A career was suddenly brought to an end. At a time when he was still considered the best referee in the world, Italian football made a decision that shocked fans and experts alike. This was not a decline caused by mistakes or age, but a forced exit driven by off-field circumstances. It felt like removing a star player in their prime for reasons unrelated to performance. For Collina, this moment marked the beginning of his greatest professional conflict. At the center of this controversy was Collina's sponsorship deal with the automotive company Opel. As a globally recognized referee, Collina had commercial value, and the deal reflected his stature in the sport. However, Opel was also a primary sponsor of AC Milan, one of the most influential clubs in Serie A. This connection immediately raised alarms within Italian football governance. The issue was no longer Collina's conduct, but how his neutrality might be perceived. The Italian Referees Association viewed the situation as an unacceptable conflict of interest. Even though there was no evidence that Collina had ever shown favoritism, perception became the deciding factor. Football is a game where trust is everything, and the fear was that any decision involving AC Milan or their rivals would be questioned. This turned into a battle between proven integrity and institutional caution. Collina found himself judged not by his actions, but by assumptions. The ruling that followed was firm and unforgiving. The Italian Football Federation informed Collina that he would not be permitted to referee top-flight Serie A matches under these conditions. For a referee of his caliber, This restriction effectively removed him from the elite level. It was like telling a world-class player they could no longer compete in the top league. Faced with this reality, Collina had a choice to make. Rather than accept limitations that would quietly diminish his career, Collina chose to resign from Serie A entirely. This decision reflected his character and self-respect. He refused to let his legacy fade under constraints he believed were unjust. His resignation ended one of the most respected domestic refereeing careers in football history. The match ended not with a final whistle, but with a forced substitution that many felt was unnecessary. After his resignation, Collina officiated only a small number of matches. These included charity games and one final competitive appearance in a Champions League qualifier. While symbolic, they served as a farewell to on-field refereeing at the highest level. His presence was still commanding, but the era was clearly closing. Italian football moved on without its most authoritative official, leaving behind a sense of loss. Long before this professional conflict, Collina had already been fighting a personal battle that shaped his identity. Early in his career, he developed a severe form of alopecia, resulting in the complete and permanent loss of all his hair and facial hair. This condition emerged when he was still a young referee, long before fame or respect arrived. It was a quiet struggle that had no quick solution at first. The condition was simply a health issue, but in a sport built on visibility it quickly became something more. Collina's bald appearance made him instantly recognizable, and not always for positive reasons. Early reactions ranged from curiosity to mockery. Yet instead of allowing this to weaken him, Collina leaned into it. He refused to hide or explain it. Over time, what began as a personal misfortune transformed into one of football's most iconic images. Collina's intense stare, combined with his bald head and calm authority, created an intimidating presence. Few players dared to challenge. His appearance became a psychological advantage. It was Collina versus Dessor, and his presence alone often restored control before conflicts even began. Another major confrontation occurred during the era of the Calciopoli scandal, one of the darkest chapters in Italian football. Powerful figures attempted to influence refereeing appointments and outcomes behind the scenes. Luciano Maggi, the central figure in the scandal, openly targeted referees who could not be controlled. Collina became one of those targets. In intercepted phone calls, Maggi complained that Collina and fellow referee Roberto Rossetti were too objective. In a corrupt environment, fairness became a problem. This revealed the immense political pressure referees faced at the time. It was a battle between manipulation and neutrality, and Collina refused to compromise. Because of his integrity, Collina emerged largely untouched by the formal consequences of the scandal. While many officials and executives were exposed and punished, his reputation remained intact. This further solidified his standing as an incorruptible figure in football. In a system where many bent under pressure, Collina stood firm. After stepping away from active refereeing, Collina transitioned into leadership roles within UEFA and FIFA. The battlefield changed, but the struggle continued. He focused on referee development, technical standards, and protecting the integrity of officiating. His influence extended far beyond individual matches. He became a guardian of refereeing principles. In these roles, Collina has spoken openly about the abuse referees face at all levels of the game. He famously described such abuse as a cancer that kills football. This statement reflected his belief that officials are constantly under attack, often unfairly. It became referees versus hostility, and Collina chose to be their voice. Pierluigi Collina's story is ultimately about conflict, resistance, and resilience. From personal health challenges to political pressure, from forced retirement to global leadership, every phase felt like a head-to-head battle. He didn't win every fight, but he never lost his principles. Like a legendary player remembered for defining moments, Collina is remembered for standing his ground. His legacy proves that true authority comes not from power, but from integrity.